name's Kevin. I don't know everybody that's here. I don't know everybody's name.
Mike?
Is that better?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, I can hear myself too. It's not crawling around. I grew up on the Indian reservation in Brockett. When I was about 3 years old, I was with excuse me. I was with my mom and my dad. It was in June. It was a hot day, and I remember. I just remember my dad putting my two older brothers into this boat, and I wanted to get in that boat, and he said, "No, you're coming with me." And so I just remember I wanted to get in that boat so bad, and me and my sister and my mom, we got in the truck, and they started driving down the road, and I kind of remember I used to always put my arm around my dad, and like if there's a song playing, I'd bob my head with him, and we'd be singing, and I don't know what my mom and dad were arguing about, but that day I watched my dad commit suicide with my mom. I always have thoughts, and what it'd be like if he was alive. Who would I be? What would I be doing with my life? And the stories I hear about him, he was talented, athletic, and everybody loved him. And my childhood was like a mystery. I was bounced around home to home, because my mom could not afford to look after me, or my sister, or my 4 older brothers, and we were all split up. And when I was a kid, like I'm the only one that has white skin in my family. Everybody has like the native features, the skin, and I was kind of an outcast to native people. They didn't like me growing up. They were spiteful. I remember this one time I wanted to go play with the neighbors, and these kids started throwing rocks at me, and like I got cut on top of my head from a rock, and there's blood rushing down my face, and they were all calling me a white boy, and I went to my grandma, and then she got mad at me. Even to my grandmother, she didn't really care for me because of the white skin, and I honestly never knew why until I was older to understand about boarding school and why natives have such a hard time with white people. And it was like going to school was a hard thing for me to do, because the white kids didn't like me because I was native, and the natives didn't like me because I had white skin. So I was kind of an outcast, a loser, and I grew very bitter as years went by, and even to people trying to drown me in the river and beating me up, and my mom and my stepdad were kind of getting upset about it, like I couldn't do anything for myself. So they put me into boxing when I was 13. And I didn't know how to fight, I didn't know what to do. And I was here in Lethbridge. The boxing instructor, he told me, he said, let me see you punch. So I didn't know what to do. And I looked at him, and as hard as I can, I punched him in the face. And then my mom started laughing. She said, what are you doing? And she said, told me to throw a punch. And then his nose was starting to get all bloody, and he said, we can work with your son. So he started making me like show how to do these punches on a punching bag. And it wasn't until a year he put me in a ring with somebody, and he said, I want you to spar with this boy. And inside of me, I didn't want to do it because I didn't want this person to be hurt. I didn't want to feel any pain because of the abuse that I took as a kid. Like when you get beat up lots, and you know what that pain's like when you're punched in the face or in the mouth, the side of the ear, to see blood, and it's painful. But when you go for a long period of your lifetime, that happened to you, you kind of get used to it. So I was looking at this kid, and I told myself, I said, I don't want to get hurt, but at the same time, I don't want to be hurt. So I beat him up as fast as I can, and they stopped. And they said, okay, from now on, I don't know if you guys ever heard of Eric Hardy. He's a kickboxing champion here for Canada. My coach told me, he said, this is who you're going to be sparring with it. Like, I was 14 years old, and I was looking at this man. He had muscles and big arms, and I'm like looking at him. I said, why? He said, because you're at a different level. You know what you're doing. So this man ran around the ring telling me to hit him, and I couldn't catch him. I couldn't hit him. Finally, when I got frustrated, I started freaking out, hitting him. But the whole time, I didn't want to do that. There's not a part of me that wanted to hurt anybody. But I was getting better and better, and everybody in my family was saying, don't tell anybody in school that you take boxing because the people want to fight you, and just mind your own business. So I kept it like that, and I got invited to this Golden Glove tournament. And I remember seeing my opponent, and I was telling everybody, I said, I don't want to fight. And then they said, why? We've come so far. And I just didn't want to hurt anybody. Like this person didn't know me. He didn't call me names from before like the other people. The only people I ever wanted to hurt were the people that hurt me. I want to do things back to them, but at the same time, because they hurt me, I was always scared of them. My fear of them, I would find different ways to walk around them in school. I try to avoid people as much as possible. And I remember going to the ring, and I was sitting there, I was watching my opponent come out, and then I knew I could beat him. I knew after the first round, my coach said, what are you doing? He said, this is a kid, you've been fighting men in the ring. I said, I don't want to fight him. So I let him throw punches at me, I could block in my face. And there was something inside me that didn't want to be a violent person. But my parents put me in there because of the abuse that I was taking in school and in public. But I would always try to figure out stories about my dad, and then people would tell me that you're a lot like your dad. Like a lot of the older people would say your dad was a very kind man. He was very generous. Apparently he even gave up his own house so his brother would have a roof over his head, and he slept in a shed. And they said, you're a lot like him. And so I was always curious to wonder who my dad was. But apparently my stepdad didn't get along with him back when they were younger. So his name was not allowed to ever be said in the house, and it was always a mystery. Like I said, even to this day, there's a lot of things I don't know about him. But I grew up very, 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 very bitter, and I wanted just to be a part of society and be like everybody else and have friends, but I didn't. So after a few years of going to school, my anger, finally, I had enough, and I started beating up people and injuring people, and like, I knew what I could do to hurt somebody. And I was always told never to use my boxing skills on anybody because it's not fair and I can get charged and all this stuff, but I didn't care because I wasn't gonna let anybody hurt me. At the same time, when I would hurt somebody, I would feel so guilty, I'd be heartbroken. Like if some people, if they beat up somebody, they're glorious about it, they're so happy. Not me, I get depressed and I was sad, and I tried to make friendship almost immediately. So, I don't even know how to word this out, but like, I know deep down inside there wasn't a bad bone in me, and I didn't know why people hated me growing up, and I've always just kind of kept to myself. But I was taught about God at a young age as well, and I didn't want to know anything about God because I want to know who my family was, because I was separated from my brothers. I don't even know my older brothers. To this day, I don't know their favorite color, what their favorite song is. And I look at other families and how they have everything, you know, like their mom, their dad, grandma, grandpa. And to me, that's all I ever wanted. And I was just sick of life one day, and I know my parents didn't want me to be drinking and being in drugs like any other parent. They tried teaching me the right way to grow up, and as soon as I was 18, I moved out on my own, and I started drinking, partying, and everything that I worked hard for, like through my being an athlete and all that, it all just went away. I wasted talents that I had with horses, working with race horses, playing hockey, and I could have probably did something with my life, but because there was always something in the back of my head, and all I can ever do, like even to my adult age, all I ever see is watching my dad die. And it was always like, people said, how do you remember that? You were like just a little boy. And I said, I told my mom, I said, Mom, do you remember he had blue underwear on and his socks were white and he had a yellow and blue stripe? And she looked at me, she says, yeah, I remember what he was wearing. So people were trying to brainwash me, saying that that's not how he died, that he didn't commit suicide. But I remember too, the underwear that he was wearing and what I was doing that day. And my mom never wanted to talk about it to me ever. And it's still hard for her to even bring it up because she doesn't want to live that day. But I have confusion because of that day. So anything that my stepdad and my mom taught me as a kid what not to do, I disobeyed them, and I did almost everything they told me not to do. And what happened, I started getting in trouble with the law. I got 2 DUI charges and like assault charges. And I probably should have been thrown in prison, but I never was ever thrown in prison for some of the assaults that I did. And I thank God for that to this day. But I developed a bad cocaine habit where it started off that I would only spend $60 to do cocaine, and then after that I went from $60 to $200 up to $4,000 a month alone on cocaine. And it helped me with my thoughts. I didn't care about the past. I was living for that moment with people that I thought were my friends, but what I was doing, I was going into a destruction with my life, with what I was doing to my body. And one day I was so high on drugs, I said to my friend, I looked at him, I said, I don't want to live this life no more. There's not one part of me that wants to be a part of this anymore. I said, I just can't. He said, let's just go to a drug dealer's house and let's just get one more ball of Coke. I said, I don't want to. And then we ended up going anyways and got more drugs. But while I was doing those drugs the entire time, I was looking at my hands and I was looking at my arms, and I was like, I could die at any minute, and what's going to happen to me? And I called my mom right away. And I told her, I said, Mom, listen, I got to tell you something. And she said, what's wrong? And I told her, I got a cocaine addiction that I've been hiding from me. And she said, Kevin, I already know what you're up to. And then she was crying, and she got me to call Ruby, the pastor, out of standoff. Before I can say anything, she told me, she said, Kevin, let's just pray. And then we started praying. But this whole time leading up to that, I didn't believe in God. I didn't believe his existence, that he even cared for me because of some of the stuff that I went through, the dark path of my life that I lived. I didn't believe in him. And I kept telling myself over and over again that I'm going to hell, that I'm going to die any time now. The only reason why I was thinking that way, because all my friends were dying of drug overdoses, and like they were healthier than me, and I wasn't healthy at all. And I said, well, I wonder when I'm next, when am I going to go to sleep and never wake up again? And then when I spoke to Ruby, and when after I was done praying with her, my whole cravings for alcohol, drugs, it was gone, like immediately. And I started believing in God. That I looked at all my friends, how they struggled. The only reason why they went to rehab is because they were neither told by the law or through marriage, like they were bribed to go there. I didn't have to go to any rehab. I didn't have to go sign up for treatment, and I didn't have any withdrawals or any pains. I knew God healed me that day. I knew, like, with everything that was wrong with me, like I can open my mouth and I can hear my heart echo, and that's how much drugs was in my body. Like my heart was in a condition of probably exploding, who knows. But I remember opening my mouth and I couldn't hear my heart racing out of my mouth. And so I started praying, and I felt so bad for what I've done in the past that I didn't even feel worthy enough to be a part of God's kingdom. And I've been struggling with my life change, and I always talk to Steve and other people. I said, I don't even think God's forgiven me. I said, show him what I've done wrong and how I could change my life, but honestly, don't think that there's a part of him that has forgiven me. And it bothered me because I've done a lot of stupid things, and like my anger was so bad. Like I used to walk around with a gun, so I'll just leave it at that. I used to do some stupid things, and I was in a big mess with my life. But when God healed me, I knew that was from God, but at the same time I didn't feel I was forgiven. But that was because of the guilt that I've been carrying for over a period of time. And it kind of brainwashed me to letting go of things and moving forward, because I've held on to things too long in my life that are negative. I've built my life around a negative lifestyle and never ever felt anything positive. But to this day, I don't have these sweats. Like when I was so high on cocaine, my shirt, the back of my shirt, my pants would be wet from sweat. I'd just be dripping sweat. I don't have any of those problems anymore. And I look at some of these people that are coming off of drugs, they still have all these other side effects of drugs. So I started studying a little bit more about, did God forgive me? And yes, he has forgiven me. Because in the Matthew I was reading, what really touched my heart is that there's 99 sheep, they're out of 100. And the shepherd went back to go look for that one. He didn't worry about the 99, but he was worried for that one sheep. And I felt, I was that one sheep out of all these 99. God came back for me, and he helped me with where I am today. And I want to continue growing in the Lord. I want the Lord to show me through other people that his existence is real, that he'll help you with whatever you're struggling with, whatever it is that divides you from his grace, that there is a living God that will forgive us. And the whole time that I started thinking about that, the thoughts of my dad, what it would be like, have changed, because I'm happy I got God on my side now, like as a father, that he does things for me and he protects me more so than any father possibly ever could. He won't abandon me, and I'm very thankful for that. I'm blessed by prayers from other people praying for me. There's people that prayed for me to change my life, and I really thank God for my mother for the hours that she spent praying for me when I could have been gone from a drug overdose. And would that be like being stoned looking at God? Like, you're not going nowhere special with that kind of lifestyle. So I'm thankful for that. And one of the things that really showed me the strength of God, I was living with another drug addict, and he thought I owed him money. So he threatened to drive out to my mom's place and kill her. And I called my mom, and I was working way up in northern Alberta, and I told her, I said, this man's going to be driving down there. And I said, Mom, you need to listen to me, because what he's saying is his intentions are that way, like he's connected with Hell's Angels and all this other stuff. And then she said, I'm not going to leave my house. And then she told my younger brother and other people, they brought her a gun and showed her how to use it, how to load it, and then they left. They said, you should go get safety and whatnot. And the whole time I'm talking to my mom, said, don't worry, I'm coming home. And then when I got there, my mother was still there. There's nobody there to help her. They were all scared because of the lifestyle I was living before. And then she told me about Psalms 23, like the Lord is our shepherd. And that's why she wouldn't leave. She said, I know God's with me here all the time. And then she said, all I want was my children to know that God will always be there, that you never have to worry about anything. And with all that happening, with her saying that, there's a lot of things I've been working on, and it's my anger. Steve knows what's going on with some of my life. There's a guy that lives upstairs above me that I did my little investigation that he's been breaking into my house and stealing all of my stuff while I'm at work or if I'm not at home. So my intentions were, like this just happened this year, was to drag him downstairs, cave his head in, and then call the police and say this man came in while I was asleep. That was what was in my heart to do, but at the same time, there was something inside me saying, you can't do that. There's no way you can live your life that way. And that whole anger issue, I had to go to Steve and tell him about it. It finally left. Like, when I see him, I don't want to hurt him. I understand that I have to forgive him because God's forgiven me. He's forgiven me for everything I've done, and I have to be a forgiving person as well. And those are some of the things that God's showing me. Like, another thing I was telling Steve, and I told Sydney about him, there's a man that I was working with. He started slandering my name, saying that I go in the lunchroom and I steal out of people's bags. And this is also just this previous year. And they know that that's not who I am, that I'm a changed person, that I try to do my best to follow God's laws. I was angry about that. I was bitter. I said, why would this man go and say stuff about me like this to other people? And the people are going to think that this is who I am. I'm not that person. So I confronted him. His name is Jordan, and he's also a drug dealer. And I told him, I said, why are you talking badly about me? And he's a big man, and everybody's scared of him. So I contacted him, I got him on a one-on-one, and I was gonna beat him up at work. And I head faked him and he jumped back. And when I seen that, I thought, well, I can just punch him in the face right now. But I couldn't. There's something that stopped me from wanting to do that. I got called in the office. I went back to the office almost right away, and they said what was going on. They were going to fire me because I put my hands on him. When he turned his back, I pulled him back. I said, don't you ever turn your back on me again. And he ran away. And my anger was so, like the dark side of me started coming back. I got suspended. I let it go. I went home. I called my mom. I said, you need to pray with me. I said, I just don't want to hurt anybody. And when I went back to work that Friday, this had to be through God. We got put on the exact same crew. We had no choice to work together. And I looked at him, and we're building this bulkhead for this concrete pour. And I said, Jordan, where did you get that wire? He gave me some attitude. And then I told him, Jordan, I took his supplies. I said, you go find your own supplies now. I said, these are mine. And people were thinking, well, are you crazy? Like, this is a big man. And like, he started going around saying that I'm lucky he never put his hands on me, that he would kill me. And when I heard that, it got me more angry. And Friday after work, I went home. I was trying not to think about it. I got my vehicle and I started looking for him. I went to the bar. I finally found him. And I was standing outside and I was looking in that bar. And I took off my shirt. I put on a dirty shirt just in case there was going to be blood on there. And I went in there and I told Jordan, I said, let's go outside. We're not at work. I said, there's nothing that's going to stop us now. I said, we can end this one-on-one right now. He didn't want to come outside, so I was looking at the cameras. I told him, I said, Jordan, this place closes. There's going to be a last call. I'm going to wait for you outside. I ended up falling asleep, so nothing happened. But, however, he went back to work and he made a complaint about me. He was saying that I was stalking him after work, what could they do? And he started lying, making lies that I was hiding outside of his house and that his wife was scared. And then so I'm still really upset with him at this time. So I kind of piped up. I said, maybe your wife should leave you for a man that she can feel safe with. Because I wanted to provoke the anger. I still wanted something to happen. But nothing, the company couldn't do anything. They sent us on another project to build a wall. And he was standing right beside me the whole time. And I was standing beside him. And then he just said, look, are we good? And I said, when this job's over, till this job's over, we're good. I was just joking around though. So from that day forward, this all happened before Christmas. We're friends, we work together. And now I try to talk to him. I tell him, Jordan, I said, you say you're a Christian, but you sell cocaine? I said, what if you died right now and you had to talk to God? What are you going to tell them when you were supposed to be telling people about God, not trying to give them cocaine? He said, don't you ever put that on me. He said, I tell them about God. I said, no, you don't. You're selling them. You're ruining lives. So now, by me working with him, always beating him up, we became friends. He's trying to change his life. So through that, I want God to use me to help people change their lifestyle and do the right things for God and to show them that there's love out there, because some of us don't even know what love is until God shows it to you. And when he shows it to you, it brings a lot of peace to your life. So that's my testimony. I can probably go on, but we'll get back to it.